YouTube is running scared from the upcoming GTA 6 release next year, updating policies, which kind of makes sense, but also at the same time doesn't make sense because YouTube is already pretty strict when it comes to violent content in video games. They've also been doing a lot of things about gambling and stuff like that as well. So it feels like they don't actually need to do this. Also, GTA 6 is not meant for kids. It's already an M-rated game. So like, why do you need to update policies if you already should be doing this? But at this point, YouTube does whatever YouTube wants. We'll be talking about that and some other things in this video today. My name is the Tech Ninja Jelly. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this kind of content. We do these every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Now, with all that stuff out of the way, let's get right into the video. YouTube has updated its policies, or basically announced new policies. It's kind of a combination of both, of updating current policies and adding things onto it, because they already had a mature video game violent rating thing. Like, they've already had that stuff in gaming content guidelines, but they've made it basically a new category for it, from what I can tell. And basically what it says is that graphic gaming content has been expanded into if the scene is extended or sustained, if the violent imagery is zoomed in, and or if the characters are realistically human, and if the violence is happening to a character that looks like a real human. Now, these types of changes were already kind of in place, but not explicitly said in the guidelines. And that's mostly because of Grand Theft Auto 5 when that came out in 2013. And the reason is because there's literally a torture scene in Grand Theft Auto 5. And the graphics have gotten a lot better since then. And ever since then, violent video games on YouTube has been kind of policed more, which makes sense, but also to me also feels like there's this weird disconnect, because there's a ton of video games that have lots of violence in it when you look at it, but because it doesn't look human, that's okay. Like, I mean, Fortnite is apparently made for kids, and the main thing about that game is you shooting people. It's like, it's shooting things. You're shooting things. That's violent. But cartoon violence is fine, but if it looks like a human, it's okay. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's a very double standard stance on it. But I do agree that some of these things should exist. The problem is that I just don't trust YouTube to actually properly use these tools to actually do things against content that is just terrible. Because most video games don't cross that line. Most video games that people know don't cross that line in the sand where it becomes too much. Everyone knows, and even the kids know, that these are video games and you shouldn't be doing this in real life. Kids are smarter than you think. I would like to think that we have some way of saying that, hey, kids aren't going around breaking trees and trying to build forts like in Minecraft and Fortnite. Give them some benefit of the doubt a little bit. But also, why are you worried about kids playing this game? Kids shouldn't be playing this game. It's up to the parents. You literally have to have a parent to be able to buy this game for you, right? So it feels really weird that YouTube has to do this in general. I mean, I do agree that they should do it, but there's got to be some part of this where it's like, hey, someone that's under 18 shouldn't be playing this game anyway. And if they are playing it, it's not the video game developers or YouTube's fault. So that's kind of weird. And age-restricted content is very strange on YouTube as well, because there's tons of things on the internet that should technically be 18 plus only, but for some reason isn't. Like, most video games that have Call of Duty Warzone, Call of Duty is M-rated. So all of Call of Duty videos should technically be 18 plus. Every single Grand Theft Auto video should be 18 plus. It's weird that there's this weird double standard of there is no real consensus of what makes a video that should be 18 restricted. Because there's also tons of videos that have so much swearing in it that you would think that'd make it 18 plus, but no, it's fine. So it's really weird to me. And along with these changes, they've also updated a couple other things, like the online gambling things as well, which is really interesting because these gambling rules already existed, and basically YouTube does not enforce them at all, because they apparently expanded our enforcement to now cover online gambling with additional items that have monetary value, including digital goods like video games, skins, cosmetics, and NFTs. Now, basically what they're going after here is the Counter-Strike 2 online casinos, basically. That's what they're really going after. And there's other certain like crypto and NFT stuff that they're probably going after as well, like the really shady stuff. But the Counter-Strike gambling skins are probably what they're going after there. And that stuff, I don't like that stuff. That's not going to change. Like they've had those technical gambling guidelines and stuff like that for a long time. And to this day, that still happens. So I doubt anything really is going to change with that. I have no faith in YouTube for that. So what these guideline updates really tell me is that it feels like a PR move, because all of these things already technically existed in some way, but weren't basically enforced. And also they've also, like, the third thing they kind of updated as well is social casino content, where it's just casino style games, but they're not actually gambling. One of the biggest ones that I've seen personally is this game called Clover Pit, and it's like a PlayStation 2 horror style game where you're playing a slot machine, but it's a super gamified slot machine. Like it's a roguelike basically. So it's anyone who thinks that's actual gambling is probably crazy and needs some serious looking into, because there's no way you would think that's gambling. But apparently that is also going to be age restricted now as well, even though the game is only rated T. I think it might be even rated, I think it's T, because it is slightly horror. There's a little bit of blood and stuff like that for some of the items. Or it's just like Balatro, because it kept getting flagged as being poker, even though Balatro is literally nothing like poker at all, other than the fact that it has poker hands, but like you're not playing poker, you just have poker hands. And it's so weird to me that these things are being added or being put into, because first of all, Balatro has had problems since it came out like a year ago, so this is not new. The YouTube AI bot thing that flags videos like this has already confused social casino games already. So maybe this is why they're putting that, because they don't want to deal with how many times they have to be like, hey, this isn't gambling. This is a video game. There's no real money in this. So maybe now that they can finally put like stuff like this in age restricted stuff. But then again, I've seen games like that and they've been put back into regular stuff. So I don't even know what they're talking about. I have zero idea what they're talking about. And that's the problem, is that these things technically already existed, and so I don't understand why they're putting it in here, because they already existed and it already was like this. So I don't even know really why they're doing this. And I think it's because it's a PR move, because GTA 6 is expected to be very violent and like it's supposed to be the next Grand Theft Auto. So of course there's going to be crazy scenes in it. So it makes sense in a PR way, because they already kind of do this stuff. But other than that, I don't think anything really is going to change, because it's YouTube, so I doubt it. Moving on to something that is also not really changing, Xbox has officially reported in Q1 that they are down 29% in terms of Xbox hardware sales, and in terms of 2% down in total revenue loss for the gaming side of Microsoft, which is basically just Xbox, but I think they include a couple other things other than Xbox, of course. And this is kind of just something that has been slowly but surely and now firmly confirmed, because Xbox has been bleeding a lot of brand recognition for a long time now. To be fair, they went from $5.621 billion to $5.508 billion in a $113 million loss, which, is still crazy money. So it's not like they're, desperate for cash, but it is a worrying sign that it is going down a lot, because hardware sales have declined a lot by 29%, but the gaming the gaming content and service revenue is up by 1%. So it's interesting to see that the hardware is down, but the content and service is technically up. But that's also because they're starting to put more things on third-party platforms like PlayStation and PC, and the Game Pass growth. Now, Game Pass growth, I'm pretty sure, isn't overall up, but I think it's because of the third-party content as well. So that's the main reason why I think it's up 1%. It's probably because of the third-party hardware sales, because people can buy Xbox games on PC and PlayStation now, and especially with Halo coming to PC next year as well, along with Forza Horizon 6 and a new Fable game apparently coming next year. It's going to be interesting to see, and with a new IP called Clockwork Revolution, which looks interesting. It kind of looks like almost like a BioShock-esque style game coming next year as well. With those first-party titles hitting hard, maybe that will sell more Xboxes, but I doubt it, because they're probably going to be available on PlayStation and PC. So it's going to be interesting to see like what actually happens with the sales if first-party titles actually bring up console prices, or not console prices, sorry, console sales, or if the Xbox content and services revenue is increased instead of hardware sales. Because normally first party titles would sell hardware, but now with Xbox's new strategy of putting it on other platforms, it's just going to be selling like games. So does that mean that they don't care that Xbox hardware revenue is down 29%? I mean, there's still $5 billion in profit. So it feels like it's still doing fine, but it's going to be interesting to see like whether or not the next generation of Xbox affects the hardware sales and like what their ongoing strategy is, because the Xbox Play Anywhere tagline has been their tagline for like at least a couple years at this point. So when the new Xbox hits and these new first party titles hits, what does that mean for hardware sales? I think that's going to be the biggest telltale of how this goes. When the new Xbox hits and the new first party titles hits, do people buy Xboxes or do they just buy Xbox games on other platforms? That's going to be the biggest question for me. And right now, currently, people are just buying some Xbox games, but not buying Xbox consoles, which it seems like Microsoft is okay with, as long as they're still making money. But the problem is they're not, or at least they're not making as much as they want them to be making. Because, I mean, they're still making $5 billion. Like, let's be honest here. When we're talking in billions of dollars of revenue, it's not like, $113 million lost. It's a lot when you say that, but when you're comparing it to the $5 billion they're making and they lost 113 millions, so they, instead of 5.6, they're making $5.5 billion. It's a crazy ton of money. But in the business sense, I can understand that, like, they're losing, but does it matter? I mean, it doesn't really matter because, like I said, $5 billion. But do the higher-ups care if hardware sales are down, but if the games are selling more? Because you make better profits on game sales. Consoles have historically lost money per unit sold, so it's going to be interesting to see if they just drop the Xbox in general, but they're making a new one next year, so it's going to be interesting to see what their strategy is, and I'm really curious. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to see it for a while, but it's still really interesting because I'm interested in seeing the new direction Microsoft wants Xbox to go, and if this is the correct decision, because they need to do something to rebuild the brand. And I say that, but they're still making $5 billion. But globally, Xbox has suffered. So it's going to be interesting to see what they try to do. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. I'll be really interested to see what you say, because I'm conflicted on many things, as you can tell, but I think it's all right to move to care about games more than consoles. But we'll see. We'll see. If Xbox drops out of the console race, it won't surprise me, but I'll be sad. It's similar to when Sega dropped out. And lastly, speaking of things that Xbox has killed, John Remaro, one of the original makers of Doom, has been looking for other companies in his game that he was making, because he was making a first-person shooter, or a shooter, I should say. It hasn't been announced that it's a first-person shooter, so a shooter, but the backer was Xbox. And they had a publishing deal with Xbox, and that deal was deleted. Not deleted isn't the right word. It was canceled, basically, when the waves of Microsoft layoffs happened, because the studio basically was shut down that Romero made with Xbox. Now, the good thing is that he owns the IP and the code and everything about the game. So he can just try to find another publisher or another company to agree to help fund it. And it's already been worked on for a couple of years. And so it makes sense for him just to find other companies, and other companies be interested, because basically other companies are like, hey, we have this game halfway done. Can you guys help us bring it past? And you're like, can we just take up the reins and put in some money? And then we're going to potentially get way more than we put in because somebody else already put in crazy amounts of money, which totally makes sense, because John Remaro, once again, or the founder of Doom, has said, and I quote, "So we have a lot of companies that are interested and still working with us on it, because when you develop a game for years and you put in, say, 50 million into a game, and if you move and start working with somebody else, they get 50 million for free," which makes sense. Like, they've worked on the game for years and Microsoft pulled out. But he still owns the IP and the code and everything, so he can just keep working with a different company, and the other company gets basically 3 years for free, or however many years of work that they don't have to pay for. They have to pay for the end. And John Romero has also said that it's about midway, so about halfway done. So it wouldn't surprise me if they can put in some more money, if it's a relatively decent vertical slice that they can show off. And I mean, it's got Romero behind it, and he's a pretty good game developer. I mean, he's one of the original creators of Doom. He helped with some other projects as well, even though Daikatana wasn't necessarily that good. The things he worked on after that was still not that bad. So I think he deserves this game. I think it'd be interesting to see what it becomes. And I'm interested what his take on a modern day shooter is. Like, is it a Doom, like a remake of Doom 2016? No, not like he's remaking it, but like, is it a version of the new Doom that we have nowadays where it's an updated modern Doom? Or is John Romero going to keep some of the old school stuff in with a new school tie? Or like, I'm curious what he thinks a modern shooter should be with a good backing, because tons of shooters have decent ideas, but they're small projects made by a couple guys or one guy sometimes, and like, while they're good games, obviously you can see there's a limit of what one person can do. But if him and a team can do something, I'm interested what they can do, because even though I enjoyed Doom 2016, after that I was kind of over it. I enjoyed it, but that type of game for me isn't really what I'm into. So I'll be interested to see what he thinks this new shooter should be, because like, for me, Doom 3 and Quake 4 are my favorite Doom and Quake games, which says something about me. I know I'm definitely a slower paced shooter fan, and I've never been a big arena shooter person. Like, technically the arena shooter that I've played the most of was Halo, probably, if you count Halo as arena shooter, and I think I do personally. So it'll be interesting to see what he thinks this shooter should be. And to be fair, even if it isn't a first person shooter, because all it is an unannounced shooter project, it's not technically a first person shooter. It could be a shooter of any kind. It could be a third person shooter, and that would be interesting too if he decides to bring it into a new genre instead of first person being third person, because you can do a lot with a third person shooter. So it'll be interesting to see what his take is on it. Let me know what you guys think his take will be in the comments down below, because I think it'll be interesting, and I hope this game does get finished and is made fully. And I hope they find a good person or good company to actually publish them. I'm surprised they need a company to publish them, because I thought Romero was pretty rich, but I guess he doesn't want to fund it just by himself. It makes sense. He wants a company behind him as well, so he isn't the only person backing it, which makes sense. He doesn't have infinite money. I get that. So let me know what you guys think about it. That is going to be it for today's video. Thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. Once again, please hit that subscribe button to support the channel. Hit that like button. Let me know what you think about all this stuff down below. If you'd like support directly, please go over to the Patreon at patreon.com/the Techno Jelly. You can join all of these nice people going along the credits, as well as access to a once a month live stream and some other perks as well. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads. Thank you everyone for watching once again, and I'll see you again on Monday. Goodbye, everyone.